Okay, today I would like to reveal to us something that occurred in American history that affected the entire world that is never brought up. It has to do with abating world tensions, even avoiding nuclear war, and profound artistic expression, the relationship between the two. And at the same time, we're going to see today something about the arts that is not being perceived, the real role, one of the aspects of artistic expression that is not being used, not being utilized. How stupidly we marginalize the real role of the arts in society. Okay, this has to do with the great American pianist Van Cliburn and our former President John Kennedy. What happened exactly? It's a historical fact that is never revealed. I don't know if it's never perceived or if this is on purpose, but we're going to take a look at this today. And in order to understand the phenomenon, I would like to first start with this slide, which comes from the work of Dr. Norberto Kepi and Claudia Pacheco from the Stop the Destruction of the World TV program, number 126, utilizing Dr. Kepi's science. Dr. Kepi is a world-known psychoanalyst and social scientist of a genius stature, to put it simply, so that we can understand this today. We see these three essential elements which are inside psychological life. They are our essence. This actually comes from ancient Greek philosophers. They knew that even though each of us, we have our own personality, individual personalities, the essence of being is goodness, truth, and beauty. All of this is our being. You are truth. Your being is this, and you are goodness, you are absolute goodness, and you are beauty. This is your being in the essence of the human being. And so, referring to the slide, we see that, do you see aesthetics on the top? Beauty, aesthetics. On the left side, we have, in order to reach goodness, it's through aesthetics. And on the right side of the triangle, in order to reach the truth, it is through beauty, it is through aesthetics. Aesthetics is the way to goodness and to truth. It has an essential function. And when these three elements are functioning together, this is our psychological equilibrium. You see there on the bottom of the slide. Goodness and truth, they are our sanity, and they are reached through aesthetics. And so we see that beauty, aesthetics, it's something essential in our lives, even though the tendency is to regard them as something superfluous, which is a great error in thought. Now, what happened was during Cold War tensions in the 50s and early 60s, there was a lot of tension in the world between two blocks. Were the two superpowers, they called them, the United States and Russia. Capitalism, democracy versus communism. There was a lot of tension, even nuclear war tension. And what happened was in 1958, the Russians, they launched their international Tchaikovsky competition. This name comes from the famous Russian composer Tchaikovsky. And they had already selected a Russian pianist who would win this award. But what happened was, there was an American pianist from Texas who participated in this competition, this first Tchaikovsky international competition. And the judges, they were kind of astounded that he was playing the music of their beloved Russian composers, Rachmaninoff and Tchaikovsky, with more profundity than the Russian pianist. So they didn't know exactly what to do. So they had actually asked their prime minister at that time, Khrushchev, if they can give the award to an American Americans were enemies to the Russians and vice versa at that time. And Khrushchev said, well, if he deserves it, then give it to him. And so what happened was an American pianist won the first Tchaikovsky competition. And it became really evident that the Russian elite, the Russian people in general, Khrushchev himself, they really liked this pianist, Van Cliburn. And it was revealed in the newspapers, the Russian newspapers, that this American, he's so completely different from American capitalists. And in following years, Van Cliburn would return to Moscow and to Russia in general, giving concerts there because he was absolutely loved, even adored by the Russian people because of his musicality, his way of playing the piano. And we can see here in this photo, when Van Cliburn returned to the United States, he was given this ticker tape parade in New York as a celebrated hero. He was seen as somebody who went into the enemy camp and came out with the first prize award. And so you can see here in this next photo, the American pianist Van Cliburn receiving the first place medal from Russian Prime Minister Nikita Khrushchev in the first international Tchaikovsky competition in Moscow during the height of the Cold War tensions in 1958. And here in this other photo, you can see how much Van Cliburn and Khrushchev really liked each other. And Khrushchev himself would go and listen to Cliburn play concerts while he was there. And so, of course, he was being interviewed by national American media. Van Cliburn would describe the Russian people as being a very warm and sincere people, similar in character to Texans. And so this was coming out in all of the American newspapers. And the sensation was, well, what is this? They're supposed to be our enemies. They liked Van Cliburn so much, and Cliburn liked the Prime Minister of Russia as well as the Russian people. What's going on here? And so President Kennedy at that time, he called Van Cliburn to the White House in order to talk with him about the situation. Because Kennedy, he always had an idea that these Cold War tensions were a myth. He never really saw any substance behind this, even though the tensions were very real. And we now know that the Cold War, it was drawn up by CIA in April of 1950. There's this NCS 68 interagency working paper, which was a blueprint for the Cold War. It was fabricated. So Kennedy speaking with Van Cliburn about Khrushchev was very revealing to him. In this next photo, we see a photo of Van Cliburn with Kennedy in the White House. So what happened as immediate result? It is a well-known fact that Kennedy and Khrushchev began meeting in private to talk about the differences that they have, the things in common that they had between the two nations. What is little known is that this was a direct result of Van Cliburn winning this Tchaikovsky international competition. One of the immediate results of this, we can see here in this next photo, the Khrushchev and Kennedy nuclear test ban treaty, where they decided that they would no longer test nuclear warheads, and that each year they would take out a certain number of warheads between both nations in an ongoing manner. Each year they would take out more and more until they would alleviate themselves of these nuclear warheads. And you can see that Kennedy met with Cliburn in May of 1963, and the nuclear test ban treaty happened in October of 1963. You see, it was a few months afterwards. And so what I wish to show here is that these two men, they decided to reconcile their two nations, not primarily because of a political situation or a military situation. It was an artistic situation. It was a question of heart because the beauty of the arts, they go to the essence of the human being. And this is what was happening between these two leaders as a result of being in contact with the beauty of, in this case, a piano concert. So it's very revealing that if you want to resolve tensions between two factions or two nations, don't send only the politicians or especially economically powerful people because they only create more tensions. They try to deceive one of the other to see what kind of advantage they can take from the other, and then the tensions only escalate. But what really creates a brotherhood between two different nations, you send in the artists because the artists go directly to the heart of a people. And this is where the real brotherhood takes place. You know, every 4 years we have the FIFA World Cup soccer competitions. And it's something very similar that happens with Olympic Games, where it's very beautiful. We see nations coming together, the pageantry of it all. It's wonderful. But we don't really achieve any kind of a genuine brotherhood because sports are a competition. It's to see who is superior. Sports have their place, but they don't achieve real brotherhood between nations. And in fact, one nation can go away really aggravated or holding a grudge against another nation because of what happened during the competitions. Competition doesn't bring brotherhood. The only sector that has conditions to create real brotherhood is the artistic because it goes directly to the essence of the human being. And so, why do we not have international exchanges of the arts in a non competitive manner? It's because this would create real brotherhood between nations, worldwide brotherhood. And there are economically powerful people in our world who do not want this. So this doesn't happen. So this role of the artist in society, it has never been achieved until today. It's something incredible. We have to deal with the pathology, the sickness of economic power, so that the arts can take their proper place so that we can have world peace, world brotherhood between nations, so that our existence can be in harmony with our essence. And this happens through the beauty of genuine artistic expression. I'm Gilbert Gambucci, and this is Living Eternity Now. All the best to you.